Hey Dale, how you doing?
Jerry, doing well, doing well. We are back with our second edition of Journeys. You know, we didn't like a little sound, Journeys.
No, it's okay. We'll pass on that. We'll pass on that.
Appreciate everybody that commented on the last one and enjoyed our time with Dan. That's a lot of fun. So hopefully this will be just as good.
I'm sure it will be. Because we have a very, very good family with us today.
All right. So who are they?
Smiths.
Oh. They're right here.
They're right here. We have the Darden family with us today, and Chester and Andrea and Caroline and Bruce. No, that's Logan. We're glad you're with us today, and you have a great story. But we always do an icebreaker question. The first question is, oh yeah, we had a great question with Dan to start off. You know, and this is just your very thing. I want to know who your favorite rock band is.
Are we all gonna? Oh, am I going first?
Oh, everybody gets to go. Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Does Queen count as a rock band?
Yes.
Then we're gonna go with Queen.
Okay.
What do they sing?
Well, I like Another One Bites the Dust.
Okay, good. So you do know one song with them. Let's just make sure you knew one with them.
Caroline?
I don't think I know any.
Okay, no, it doesn't have to be rock band.
Oh, I know. Okay. Kiss.
Yes. So
I like Shout It Out Loud. That's an awesome song.
That's good. All right. Chester?
I'd have to go with Journey.
Journey.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Oh, I was thinking that thing. We need to have a Journey song as our theme song.
We do that.
Journey.
We do that. Journey. No. And Andrea.
I don't know any rock bands.
Oh, come on.
I don't. You'll have to skip me. I don't.
We'll
I
have to
really
skip
don't. No, I'm not going to skip. The Bee Gees? I don't know.
Yeah, the Bee Gees.
I don't know.
Bee Gees.
Probably not even them. I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, we just kind of break the ice by doing things like that.
So tell us a little about your family. Tell us kind of how you ended up where you are today here in Springhill.
You or me?
Go ahead.
We ended up here, we moved here 12 years ago, and a job opportunity is why we ended up in Spring Hill. So that's what brought us here.
So you lived here for 12 years?
12 years.
All right. So you weren't born here. Neither one of you were born here.
We were not born.
Where were y'all born?
We were born in Hohenwald.
They were born
Hole in the wall.
Very regional. Okay.
Yeah.
You grew up in Omaha.
So she was 4 and he was 2 when we moved here.
Wow.
Now,
It's a long time ago, isn't it?
you see, you're 17 now? And
16.
16.
I'm turning 17 next month.
So, well, okay.
So close enough.
Close enough. We'll just say that then.
Yes.
All right. And you are a junior
Junior
at Summit,
at Summit.
and Logan is a freshman at Summit. How's freshman? How's it feel being like the small man on the totem pole again?
Well, it depends on where I go, because if I'm around kids that are younger than me, I feel pretty big. But then I go to school and I feel pretty small. So it's not that great of a feeling when I'm at school.
But now it's still okay and fun though, right?
It is okay.
Yeah, and I know both of you love school very much.
But it's...
Oh me. Well, how did y'all two meet?
I tried to set him up with one of my best friends. It's true.
That is true.
Downhill from there.
It's true.
And you liked her a lot better.
We ended up getting along better than the person she tried to fix me up with.
There you go. That's a good thing.
We were a better fit than the other ones.
That's all. That all works pretty well. Well, it's no secret.
There's a Van Zant story involved in this.
Yes, there is.
Oh.
Yes, and that's when we were dating, right?
Ah.
You thought she was dating Van? I'm trying to remember.
No, I went to a basketball game at Free Hartman, and Van Henry went with me one night. I had a friend who was playing on the basketball team, and under the guise of going to see the basketball game, it was a great reason to go see Andrea. And Van Henry and I ventured to Henderson one night to see a basketball game, and I went to the lobby and
Well,
pays her,
we've
yeah.
been dating several weeks by that point, and so I thought there's got to be something wrong with him. Like, I was like that because I already tried to set him up with my friend, and that didn't work. And so she was like, "If he's so great, why don't you date him?" I was like, "Oh, he's 30, and I'm 22, and I don't know about that." And she said, "Why are you trying to set me up with him?" So I said, and she said, "He's old," and I said, "He's not." I said, "When he's 88, you're 80, nobody's gonna care." I said, so anyway, so she tried to. So after that didn't work, we started dating. We dated several, and I was like, something's wrong with him. And so whenever I bounded down the stairs at Fred Hartman, and boom, 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 boom down the steps, opened the door, and there he was
With his son.
with Van Henry that looked just like him, little blonde hair, blue-eyed, crew cut, and I was like, "Oh, that's what's wrong with him. He has a Van Henry." And so, "Andrew, I'd like you to make Van Henry Van Zant." And he said, "This is Van Zant's son." And I was like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you. I'm so happy that you were Van Zant's son." So yeah, that was one of our dating stories.
Oh,
So
man.
turns out it wasn't his son. So
So y'all been here probably, what, 4 years, maybe 5 years? Maybe a little longer than that, I guess. When y'all found out that Caroline had a brain tumor.
6.
We've been here 6 years.
6 years.
Right. She was 10 when we found out.
Okay.
So, Caroline, how vivid is that memory the first time that you found out that?
It's not that vivid. Me and Mom have kind of argued about that origin story.
Okay.
Because my thought was that I was devastated about it, and then Mom tells me I was boasting about it. I went to Miss Melissa, our neighbor, and I said, "Miss Melissa, I got a golf ball in my head." So, and then Miss Melissa got worried about it, and she's like, "Okay, well, you go play with Aiden, and I'll go talk to your mother." I'm like, "Okay." So, apparently was happy about it.
That's what
That's what my mom tells
that's what
me.
your mom tells you.
Yes,
Okay. Moms are normally right, aren't they?
normal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I remember coming over here that night
Right.
and spending around the table a little while that night. So, what were the emotions immediately?
Terror.
Anxiety.
Terror. He was not home.
Yeah, I was an hour and a half away, and I called you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I arrived home, I don't know, there was 10 or 12 people here.
I was super shocked at how fast social media just flew. I had friends calling from college that said, "Andrea, what's going on?" And I was like, how could you even know? But he had called, and before I could even, but it was within 30 minutes, and Will Fry shows up at the door, and I was like, "What are you doing at my door?" And I just broke down, and several people showed up that night just to show, and I was like, I don't understand what just happened, because all it took was one person saying something on Facebook, and then it just flew from there, and then everybody knew before I told, even my family, some of my family didn't know before they knew, because I was trying to call people and say something, so.
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't go to the MRI because we didn't think, we were doing the checklist. We were just checking the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Caroline had some symptoms, but that's not
Yeah,
what
we
it's
thought it
going
was
to
a
be.
migraine.
Yeah, so.
He said, "Oh, I really feel like I need to go." And I said, "Seriously?" I said, it's a Friday night at 5 o'clock. They will not give us MRI results on a Friday night at 5 o'clock. They won't do it. And I said, he was 8 at the time. And so Logan was 8, Caroline was 10. And we just went in there and we were trying to figure out, we were going to go eat that night. And I was like, well, we were at Murray Regional at their at the center where they did MRI imaging and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we were there for that, and we were after they got finished, and literally, I saw a man walk by because Logan and I were sitting in the waiting room. Saw a man walk by, and he walked out, and we were the only ones there. And I was like, "There's no reason for you to go." I said, "We won't know anything probably for a week. They'll call us and say come back for a doctor's visit, and that's how we'll handle that." And the guy that had walked by was the radiologist that read the report. So I found out later that the guy that took the very first image, saw it in the very first slice, and he called for the radiologist and he said, we've got to go, you've got to come down here and read this right now while I'm scanning her. And so he did that. So when he walked out, the guy that was in the room said, you need to, he said, you know, Miss Darden, I need to talk to you. And the doctor was on the phone, and he just pointed to the phone, and he said, the doctor needs to talk to you. And I was like, that's so not okay at 5:15 on a Friday night. And so I picked up the phone, and she just said, I'm very sorry to have to tell you this, but your daughter has a very large mass at the base of her brain, and you need to go to Vanderbilt.
So you moved to Vanderbilt.
We moved to Vanderbilt.
That's where all your
We
care has
stayed for the
been.
next year and a half.
So
That's right. That's
for
right.
a year and a half. Caroline, what procedures did you go through for a year and a half?
I had a lot of needles.
A lot of needles.
I had a lot of scans.
Okay.
I think that was it.
Why did you talk
How many needles?
about the surgery, Caroline?
Which one?
Exactly.
Which one? You want me to tell them about my shunt, or should it be?
All of the above.
Well, the first one we got was the one to take out the mass in my brain.
Right.
That was the extensive one,
Right.
and that night, when they cut it open, you know, they had to get my hair up, so they kind of shaved a little bit off. Not a lot until later, but they shaved a little bit off. And then when I went to bed, I started to feel this little ooze stuff coming out of my head. So I'm like, Mom, there is something on the back of my neck. It feels wet. And so Mom's like, okay, we should probably go to the doctor, go to the ER, because we don't know what's happening.
The spinal fluid.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, you're not making that any better.
I had staples, and it was very fun for Mom because I was delirious, and I was like, oh wow, this feels like nothing, like, you know, because I was dazed. So it was kind of fun for her. She wrote down everything really in her little funny journal. It was really fun.
So you kept a journal of this?
I would write down funny things that
Funny
happened.
things.
Kind of a way to cope.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
because that's interesting, because you know there's probably people going to be watching that need to know what to
cope
do.
with stuff.
How do you cope with this? Dale and I go to hospitals and visit a lot of people a lot of times, and sometimes it's children. And the one thing that we see a lot of times is, you know, what do parents do? What are some things they can do? What do you do? Now, I'm interested in Logan. I mean, yeah, you were 8 years old. But
What do you think?
What did you think about it? How'd you grasp that?
About her situation, it was kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't remember a lot of it.
Yeah, that's
And I was
Because
never
I
at the
wasn't
hospital
there.
either.
okay.
I never really was there a lot.
But now this went on for a year and a half, 2 years, 3. How long did this the whole process?
She had treatments she had radiation for a month.
Okay.
30 days.
30 days.
It was 32 by the time it finished, straight days. Monday to Friday. And then, so that was the month of November. So after they did the resection and took it out, they did radiation. And after they finished the radiation, they did chemo for a year.
Okay.
After that, till the next December. And then she still, after that December, she was off of her chemo, but she did, she had to go through the surgeries to take out the port and to, you know, to kind of, she had a stomach tube, so they had to take out her feeding tube and that kind of stuff. So
Mickey.
So did you have a lot of pain, or do you remember having a lot of pain, or?
I remember a lot of pain. Mhm. I remember the most pain, well, not the most, but the one that was, 2 of them that were probably the worst was the G tube and the Mickey tube. Because I remember one day, I was sitting on the couch and I kind of threw mine up. I threw it up because it was kind of, it's kind of, bothersome back there, so I kind of threw it up. And so me and Mom, we had to, put it back up my nose and make it go back down. But then it came back up and then it went back down. So that was kind of what I remember about that one. But my Mickey tube, that was kind of a tough time because they had to like cut my they kind of put a hole in my stomach. And but it was I got a great toy out of it, so that was fun.
Is there second belly button?
I got a great game out of it too, so that was great. But yeah.
But it's a hard battle. It's not right to say that any of this is easy, and so okay, what gets you through it? How do you make it?
Comedy.
Comedy? You laugh? So other kids that may be confronted with
So it
something.
had to be your jokes, right?
It was all loaded jokes.
Well, I wasn't as funny back then. I was 8. I was 8 and 9. I wasn't.
He was pretty funny.
He was funny, but not that funny.
Pretty funny.
So
I'm
I
like
was
right
right-
here, right now, and then I was kind of, I was my own apprentice. I was gaining.
You're gaining ground.
Exactly.
You're gaining
It's just
ground.
your faith, your family, and your friends. That's what gets you through it.
Okay.
So did you ever think that she wasn't going to make it?
Many nights.
But that's something that you don't want to think about. The main thing is always to stay positive. One thing we always did in front of her and in front of Logan, it was always the positive. It's her attitude, his attitude as well, but especially Caroline's attitude. She was always so positive, and I think that's one reason it made it easier.
Yeah.
On her. I think it would have been worse.
But y'all learned that you had a lot of really, really good friends.
Yeah, we did. We could not have made it through it without our friends. Our church family.
It was I decided, that's the time when I decided that everyone on earth knows y'all.
everybody.
It blew my mind. I mean, everywhere I go, people ask about y'all. Y'all know I go a little bit.
Well, I think you of course, Chester, you put it in the right perspective with your faith in God. I know prayer was huge, and still is huge as part of your life. Those prayers have went from the want to the need to the thanks and to the continual thanks that goes in. But I think something that's important, I've seen this from you as a family, is how important church family is to you.
We would have never made it without them.
So, how do we convey to a community how important God's family, the Lord's church, is? How do we convey that?
They give you comfort.
Okay.
It's just a time that you need a lot of support. There's a lot of things you can't do on your own. You try to keep a job, you try to make an income, so you try to go to work. Andrew and I kind of decided in the beginning, I've got to continue to go to work, got to make a living, because it puts stress on your finances. And so, just and a lot of people don't really think, and I can still remember people that walked up to me at church and would either give me cash or a gas card. And they really, I don't think, had any idea how much, you're very grateful, but there's no telling how many miles we put on a vehicle, trips to Vanderbilt. There's no telling how many times we've eaten out, had to, and it was by choice. And you'd be at the hospital and you leave, and it's like, it's 5 o'clock, we're not getting in the traffic, so we'd eat at the hospital.
I had a lady at the hospital ask me, she said, "Honey, do you have your ID badge?" I was there so much, she thought I worked there. And so she was like, "Do you have your ID?" I said, "No, ma'am, I don't work here."
But even the smallest thing, like somebody may think, well, I'm not doing much, I got them a gift card, and they have no idea what that means. They have no idea how much that means to you. But the financial side and the emotional side, but Andrew and Caroline was an ambassador a few times at Vanderbilt for different things after this happened. and she was on the radio one day.
Oh, yeah, I was on the radio.
I was at work,
I don't
but I
remember the
listened to
ambassador,
it.
but I remember the radio.
Yeah, and I was listening to it because I knew what time she was going to be on. And right before it was her spot, they were talking about families that go through this. And they said that it's either 90 or 95% of the families that go through a situation like this, the parents end up divorced. And Andrew and I talked about that when I got home, and we just couldn't believe it. And I think, if anything, it's pulled us closer together. Then I think this event, if there's one of the positives in it, there's, hate to say that there's positives, but there are. But I think it's made our family closer. I think it's also helped us to prioritize what's important in life. There's a lot of things that don't matter as much to me anymore when you go through something like that.
Right.
It helps your perspective and what's important.
And one of the things you said about coping, writing was one of the ways that I coped, because I would not have slept at all for a long period of time, and I would sit down and I thought, I have to write what is happening today, because I will not remember this tomorrow, or something that I saw that day, or something that was said, or something that was funny, or something that I learned, and I wrote about it because I thought, I will not be able to remember this. And I would be exhausted and hadn't slept, and I still would sit there and type because I thought, I will forget this. I will forget this. So.
But even the Facebook post that she made, and my sister ended up compiling a book of all the things, and they were actually called Lessons from Caroline. We learned a lot of lessons through this. There's a lot of experiences that a lot of people don't have in life, and hopefully we can take those. And
So it's changed you going forward.
absolutely. It will forever change us. That experience, every one of us. I think you can take every one of us. We are forever changed by what happened.
And we repress the memory. So it's why something like this is so hard, because you try so hard not to remember and to forget, and you pray. I pray that they would forget, and for him to have said, I don't really remember a whole lot of it, but to have so much emotion behind it, you want to forget. You want to not remember how hard it was.
You are legendarily a happy family. I mean, nobody that knows y'all, would ever think that, that this was a struggle for you. I mean, they just wasn't the way you presented yourself through this whole thing.
It was a struggle.
I know. Your outlook and attitude was just, of such a nature that you didn't see a family that was, having to struggle through this and everything, though we all knew you were, of course.
So the day comes, you go to the doctor, and he says those two famous words, all clear.
We got the all clear every 3 months. Because we would go back, they would scan her every 3 months because it was a very aggressive cancer.
Right.
And so they said that it could be back where it had been in just 6 weeks. And so they said, if it comes back, you will probably know it before we can catch it. And so every 3 months they scanned her and they said, she's all clear, everything's good. We'd go back the next 3 months, everything's good, it's all clear. And so we would hold our breath until we could, and we would breathe easy for the next week. We'd be like, whew, and then we'd start again. We'd wait for the next scan. And so now it's, she's far enough out that, we're just super blessed for every day that we have, super grateful for every day that we have. But yeah, we still go back once a year, and still grateful for every day.
And the further you get, we're saying now it's the annual. It was 3 months at the time, but when you're in it, it's every 5 minutes. It's every 10. Things can change, and you're in that moment.
Caroline, you're a teenager.
Yes.
You act like a teenager sometimes.
Sometimes.
It's because I love you. What did this do to your faith, your belief in God?
I think it strengthened.
I think it did. Can you explain how, maybe?
Mom said you kind of repress the memory, so you
Sure.
don't remember a lot.
Sure.
But
Did you pray a lot?
I did.
Yeah. You wrote a lot? Did you write like Mom?
I tried.
You tried to?
It failed every time.
It's okay.
I would write questions, but they like not questions really, but
Yeah.
like I would write and then I would wait like a week, and then I'm like, just give up on it.
Yeah.
So how did people treat you, and how did you want them to treat you?
Well, I don't like, they kind of treated me like a porcelain doll sometimes,
Okay.
I guess. But I kind of was fine with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like care how people treat me as much, like unless they're treating me bad. So I don't have a prefer of how people wanted me to treat me.
Did you ever get aggravated with people?
Sometimes.
Sure we do. We all do.
I know you'll have to edit, but I'll let Andrew tell you a story, one of hers. Andrew
Okay.
had a friend who texted her on Facebook. Andrew gave credit to the doctors. Gave credit to God, but
Yeah.
also the doctors, but she gave some credit, and her friend responded to that. And if Andrew wants
Yeah.
to. Actually, Andrew responded, but Caroline's answer is the one that.
Yeah, well, it was a friend that I had said, I was grateful to God that she was doing so well and had such a good day or whatever the situation was. And she said that she was shocked that I had not given the doctors the credit that they deserved. And so she said, I cannot believe that you have given God the credit for this. And I was reading it to Caroline because you can monitor what people put, but I thought I'm not going to take that off of Facebook. And so I told Caroline, I told her that story, and I said, hey, this person said this, and she said, and I said they couldn't believe I gave credit to God, and she said, Caroline's response was, have they seen me?
Oh, wow. Wow.
If they had seen me, they would know that God had done this. And I was just,
Wow.
that was one of our lessons one day. So
That's amazing.
So how did it affect y'all's relationship?
I didn't see him much.
How do you think it affects it now?
I see him at school all the time.
I don't really know. It's a great question.
Yeah.
They were best friends when this happened.
And still are.
Yeah, but they really were. They were best friends, and I don't care to say it because people need to do it. We got counseling for Logan.
Sure.
He was 8. Sure. We felt like he needed counseling because of what happened.
Is he still in counseling, I hope? I mean,
Well, not for that reason.
Mr. Jerry Council.
We don't have enough money for what he needs. So, we can't afford it. But they were best friends.
That's awesome.
And it affected both of them because of that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, there's a picture that the two of y'all had made by Darren Dickerson. And I think if he gives me permission, I'm going to show this picture in this film, in the video. Yeah. So, but I think what it does, it shows the epitome of love. Love, the battle, and the victory. I think that's what I see. And all of that, in Mr. Jerry's opinion, is all because of faith.
so what's the best advice y'all would give a family that gets this kind of information that y'all received?
Just keep swimming.
There you go.
Yeah, it's really
Just don't
hard.
wish it on anybody.
Yeah, each situation's a little different, but you just have to take it as it comes. It's a long. This is titled Journey. This is a journey.
Yeah.
It's not going to be over in a day or two, and it's not ever going to be over.
Yeah, I started to say it's done. Right?
Yeah, it's still not ever going to be over. It's a whole lot better, but it's never going to be over.
I had somebody tell me too, whenever we first started out, because you always think this is too hard, I can't do this. And she said, Andrew, if somebody told you had to eat the whole elephant all at one time, you would think, I can't do this. She said, but what if you only had to eat one steak at a time? Just bite off what you can chew for now. And sometimes it's minute by minute, and sometimes it's hour by hour. And there were lots of nights that I slept on her floor thinking it was minute to minute. And you just think, okay, I'm gonna do this today. I'm gonna face just now. And that's about the only way to make it through. Prayer on your knees as much as you are in a hospital room. Just praying constantly. I love to look at my Bible because you can look back and see. I can think about where I was when I found verses that I was using to survive for that moment. So,
but definitely a church family. I still remember 2 or 3 weeks after, well, the day we were in the hospital, we'd gone on Saturday, and I still remember my phone. Dale almost broke my phone, my work phone. I don't know how many texts I received during worship, but he had people do that, but just for the support. But then I also remember one Sunday we were there, and he asked me to stand up, and he was talking about it. And he said, we've decided that this congregation is going to love you through this.
That's right.
Talking about our family. And that's exactly what happened.
They did.
The future is good.
Absolutely.
The future is
Whatever
good.
it may be.
Whatever. That's right.
Whatever it may be.
Because
We're still
look what you've
promised.
got. When you look around and you see what you've got with your faith, with your family, your friends, and the Lord guiding that way, it's a great journey. It's a great journey.
But one day she will be able, if not now, but she'll be able to help somebody too, because what she's been through.
Exactly.
And she'll understand and be able to help.
Well, you know we love you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And so,
Thank you for
Dale,
having us.
it's been another good one. Till the next one.